This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Coffee with Kenobi. This is your weekly spoiler-free place for Star Wars community and conversation. I'm your host, Dan Zare, thrilled to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you. Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you, whether you are a fan of Star Wars films, Disney Plus, live action and animation, books, comics, collectibles, or Star Wars opportunities at the Disney theme parks. You are among friends as we virtually share a cup of coffee together while talking about this galaxy far, far away. Coffee with Kenobi is a proud member of the Spreaker Prime program. Thank you to the official travel partner of CWK, MEI, and Mouse Fan Travel. If you are interested in a no-cost, no-obligation quote for your next vacation, check out coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel and let them know Coffee with Kenobi and Dan Zare sent you. On a very special episode of Coffee with Kenobi, it is, of course, May the 4th. I have some amazing interviews with the creatives and talent behind Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures. It is a terrific new show that is full of heart, entertainment, excitement, and it's got some wonderful lessons. And I'm happy to say, and you probably caught this by the wonderful trailers and some of the episodes, shorter episodes that are on YouTube right now, it teaches some great lessons about how to live your life as a Jedi, but in the real world. I can't recommend it highly enough. You're absolutely going to love it. And I am going to speak directly with James Waugh, the executive producer, Michael Olson, the showrunner, and the consulting producer and writer of the pilot episode, Lamont Magee. And after that, I've got some members of the cast of Young Jedi Adventures, some amazing young actors who are so passionate about this project, and rightfully so. Young Jedi Adventures is a terrific show. I am joined after the break by Jamaal Avery Jr. and Trey Murphy, as well as Emma Berman and Juliet Donenfeld. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite coffee mug, and let's have some Coffee with Kenobi on May the 4th. All right, let's dive in. Great to see all of you.
It's great to meet you.
Yeah, yes, nice to meet you. Yeah, and James, great to see you again, pal.
Yeah, man.
For sure. Well, let's do this. Star Wars mythology, of course, they're in single order because mythology is a story, right? So then we've got this new era of Star Wars that we're telling, and it's set during the High Republic. Why is Young Jedi Adventures perfect for the era in the High Republic?
Why don't you take it this time, Michael?
Sure.
I tried to be original. Darn it.
No, it's a good question, but it's the right question. It just,
yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, the High Republic, as many people know, is this time in the Star Wars timeline where the Jedi are at their height. It is a time of the Jedi being heroes and the people of the galaxy looking up to them and welcoming them with open arms. And so, for a show that's meant to be a warm and exciting introduction for kids and families to Star Wars, it's the perfect era to set a show for young kids. So we just felt like it was an opportunity we couldn't pass up.
The other element of it, I would just to add, Dan, is
sure.
One of the great world building elements, I think, of the High Republic is this sort of press into the Outer Rim, this exploration and the connection, hyperspace lane mapping and finding quicker routes, which means cultures connect. And so for us, it felt like in working with Michael, it felt like such a great era to be able to kind of have a metaphor for kids going to school for the first time, going out into the unknown and connecting with others. And there's just sort of a beauty in that. It's also just an aspirational, hopeful time.
I love that. I love it. Plus, if you said it during any other era, Palpatine will expect royalties, and who wants to get into all that stuff?
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, we don't want to really get into the whole Palpatine of it all.
That's right. There's a hashtag right there. Well, let's talk about. What I love about the show, Star Wars is just this timeline, this world, this universe where no matter what era you're sort of aiming at or what generation of fans you're aiming at, there's still some key ideas that make up a good Star Wars story. So for each of you, what are the key elements that, while it's aimed at younger kids, what are the key elements that still make it authentically Star Wars and still for a brand new audience?
Oh, you got to have the trilogy of Friends, man. gotta have that friendship. It has to be the Han, Leia, Luke. To me, it's always three. It's Rey and I'm gonna blank on everybody's name right now. But
Finn Poe.
Ray, Finn,
Finn and Poe.
and Oscar Isaac. I'm blanking on his name.
Poe.
Oh, yes, but it's always a group of three who complement each other so well, but they're very different. And I just love all of that. Like, I just love being able to learn stuff about friends and like kind of teach each other, and it just makes for a good Star Wars story for me.
You want to go, Michael?
No, go for it.
That, to your point about it being like a franchise that kind of trades in the power of mythic storytelling in so many ways. I think a big part of that are these like a call to your higher self, right? I think that's so many myths are about that, and I think that's what kids are trying to figure out is who are they? What is the self that they want to be? What is the right decision? And I think so many of the choices in these episodes that these guys have written and we're putting out there is the choice of selflessness over being selfish, which every little kid struggles with, but so do us adults. And I think that's why this theme plays across no matter what age you are or what type of Star Wars it is. Sorry, Michael, take it away.
No, yeah. I mean, you're basically asking like, what makes a Star Wars show Star Wars, right? Is that
right,
kind of
absolutely?
Yeah. I mean, certainly there's the surface elements of the way Star Wars feels lived in, right? And the different designs and the way the show looks, the sound design, of course, and the music. All of those elements certainly help something feel like Star Wars. But I think, as James mentioned, at the core of it is really about teaching kids and people those core values of what it means to be a good person, to work together, to be selfless, and finding mythic ways and mythic storytelling to sort of convey those themes in a way that's exciting and fun and doesn't feel like you're eating your vegetables, so to speak. And I think George Lucas mastered that, and we're all just getting to play in his sandbox, and we're so grateful for it. So yeah.
Well, it's Star Wars, right? So there you have to have a delicate balance. You don't want it to come across as pedantic, not pedantic, but you don't want it to come across as didactic or preachy. You want it to have adventure. You want to have some laughs, but you're also, and James, you and I have talked about this before, you're trying to, a good story tells us a lot about our culture and what we value as people, but as importantly is how we treat others. So when you look at Kai and Nash and the whole, all of these great new characters, what are some of the dynamics that you think help to bring that out for us as an audience?
Lamont, do you want to say something about that?
Oh,
I can go if you want me to. Sure. Yeah, in terms of the character dynamics, I mean, I'm going to speak more broadly first. First, there's Star Wars. We want our characters to I feel like Star Wars is at its best when we've got a group of characters who are friends, but there's definitely interpersonal stuff going on. But ultimately, that there's a sense of love and appreciation for each other, and they're all kind of working towards a similar goal or working towards defeating the Empire or whatever. And so I think those elements are certainly important. But then also broadly, for a kids show in particular, it's really important to me that these kids also model what it means to be a good person, to be a good friend. Yes, we've got these wonderful themes and lessons in our show, which are important, but as any parent knows, kids pay more attention to what you do than what you say. And so it's really paramount to me that these kids treat each other with kindness and treat each other with open hearts and welcome people from all different walks of life in the galaxy. And so I think that all those are some key elements with characters in Star Wars, but also characters in a Star Wars kids show that I think need to be there. So
to piggyback on that, I feel like it's really important character-wise to have kids know that it's okay to make mistakes. Like, and if you're doing something wrong, it's okay if you're a friend of someone to try to help them get back on the right path, and you're not chastising them. Everybody's just helping each other be better people, better younglings, and it's like your friends are there to pick you up when you fall. And I feel like kids need to know, again, that no one's perfect, and it's okay to make mistakes, and that it's okay to listen to the adults the second time around, because they told you the first time you didn't listen, which was why you're in the situation you're in. But then, like Kai does all the time, and Liz and Nubs, like, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And you forgive me, I will do better next time. And to me, that's an important lesson, because everyone has a tendency to try to raise the perfect child or try to be perfect. It's okay to strive for perfection, but it's an impossible mark to reach. So that's just my thought.
I think George was a master at, I think, along with many other things, but the adventures were always adventures of friends at a certain place, and the adventure is always better with friends, no matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult it is to navigate. There's an element of all of this stuff, from Indiana Jones to all the Star Wars, that together we can get through things, and it can be much more fun together. And I think not losing the fun and the joy of Star Wars has been something that's been really nice to see being brought to kids as well, that you can celebrate the adventure, because that's what life is,
Well said. And I was watching as an adult with kids of my own. I found myself, like, even though it's a show that's created for kids, it's for people who like good stories or people who like good characters, because it's fun. And it does have that kind of swashbuckling thrill of Star Wars, but it's also got that wink. At the end of the day, it should be fun too, right? I mean, I know not only as a parent, but as an educator, if I don't make my lessons engaging, then it doesn't matter how important I think my lesson or message is, it's not going to come across. So what I love about the show is that it is truly a really good time. It's just a lot of fun. It's hard not to smile while watching. And I know we all want to smile and ooh and ah at Nubs, and we should, because he is adorable. But at the end of the day, all of these characters together, they seem to like being themselves, if that makes sense. And I think that's kind of refreshing.
Oh,
There's enjoying the adventure. Enjoying the adventure, and I think that's part of it. I think I'm glad you said swashbuckling. Yeah. First start working with Lucasfilm, I don't know, Michael Lamont probably heard us say that in some of our early development meetings. It's like swashbuckling fun. And when I think what that refers to is an age of cinema where, yes, the stakes were real, but there was also a joy and celebration to the adventure, and it wasn't dour or dark. It took you on a ride.
And who doesn't like a good cape?
Yes,
exactly.
That's right.
Cape always helps swashbuckling.
Yeah,
that's also a part of what makes a good Star Wars story. Just Lando will tell you. All the Jedi are great. Obviously, that's a big part of what I've always loved about Star Wars. But I really like Nash. It's hard not to sort of be drawn into a pilot. And again, I feel like this is a nice thing that you all have done with this character, because Nash could be sort of like, surly or whatever, but Nash is cool. Nash is a different perspective, because Nash isn't a Jedi per se. Nash is a pilot, but there's this great welcoming concept. I don't even know if there's even a question there. I just like the character of Nash.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of that charm is also Emma Berman's performance. I mean, she's able to tell a joke like nobody else. She can get through these large chunks of Star Wars exposition dialogue in a way that just makes you smile and laugh. And she's truly phenomenal. the other thing that's great about this character too is that, like many of our audience members at home, she's kind of being introduced to a lot of the Jedi lore herself, and so she gets to ask a lot of those same questions that I'm sure kids and new Star Wars fans might be asking themselves. And so she's definitely a fun character to help convey some of the Star Wars lore to the rest of our audience. So, and of course, having someone who's the fastest pilot in the Outer Rim, that's a lot of fun too.
Absolutely. So I know your time is precious, so I'll just throw one more in there. Star Wars, of course, droids are a really important part of the galaxy. I don't need to tell any of you that. You very well know that. But RJ-83, what sets RJ-83 apart from the other droids we've met in Star Wars so far?
Oh, man. Well, he is an upbeat, chipper companion to Nash. Yes, he can be a little long-suffering at times when Nash has some, funny, harebrained idea. But he's a very expressive droid, and I think that's, we love R2, but the animation that we get to do with CG, we get to just really push the expressiveness of this droid, and I think he's just so charming. It's hard not to fall in love with him.
He's the best friend everybody wished we had growing up.
Yeah.
Literally always has your back.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Yeah, it's a backpack.
Backpack droid? Come on.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah. Well done. Well, hey, thank you all, gentlemen, for joining me on Coffee with Kenobi and for sharing some insights into Young Jedi Adventures.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
Well, hello.
Hi.
How are you both?
Good. How are you?
Good. I love the background. I'm sure you've probably heard that all day.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Well, let's just jump right in. And I have the same questions for both of you. So we'll just start. How would you describe your character to someone who has never seen the show? And Juliet, we'll just start with you.
Okay. I would probably describe Lys. She's a cute girl with purple hair, blue skin, blue eyes, and she wears these two cute little space buttons, and she carries around a purple lightsaber. And she loves creatures and people, and she'll always help them out whenever they're in need. And she's super agile. She's like an acrobat, and she'll always do these little cool little tricks with her lightsaber. And she's also really observant, and she can always put together pieces to solve a mystery. And she's super brave, and she's super adventurous, and that's Lys.
I love that. And I love how animated you are while you're telling me. This is super fun.
Thank you.
Bravo. Emma, what about you?
All right, so I voiced Nash Durango, who she's not a Jedi herself, but she is the pilot for the Jedi younglings, Kai, Lys, and Nubs, and she takes them around in her ship, her Crimson Firehawk, which she's very proud of, because she built it herself, and she takes them around on all of their adventures in her beautiful ship, and she joins them on the journeys that they go on all across the galaxy, and some of her personality traits is that she's very witty. She's super smart. She's very confident. She is a great team member. She has lots of empathy, and she is also just such a great friend.
Yeah, I was actually, when I was talking to the creators of the show on Friday, and I was talking about how much fun Nash is.
Mm-hmm. She is, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, Juliet, we'll go back to you. What are the most important aspects of Young Jedi Adventures for you that you hope the audience will enjoy and appreciate?
I think some of the important aspects is, I think, teamwork, because that's what makes Kai, Lys, Nubs, and Nash a great team, because they all have different things that are great about them, and together it makes like a great team. And I also think a message to get across is that it's always okay to ask for help, and that's what friends are for. And it's always great to give help too, and I think that's the important aspects.
I love that, and I completely agree. Emma, what about you? What are some of the more important aspects of Young Jedi Adventures for you that you hope audiences will enjoy and appreciate?
I think that just one of the most important aspects of the show itself is that this is the first time that Star Wars has created something that is specifically made for the younger generation to introduce young kids to the Star Wars universe. And I think that's definitely something that parents and kids alike will definitely appreciate. And I think there are so many great messages that this series shares. And I think that as Kai and Lys and Nubs are learning how to be good Jedi and learning the rules of the Jedi, I think that all of those rules are very good to apply to our everyday life. I mean, you learn about, like Juliet says, you learn about how it's okay to ask for help and how you should give help, and you learn the lessons of empathy and friendship and just how to be a good person in general, or how to be a good Jedi. And I think those are some super admirable lessons that kids and parents and anybody watching can take away from the show.
Absolutely. Being a Jedi is not just about having a lightsaber, it's about being a good person. And I think you both explained that really, really well. So Juliet, what was it like for you to learn that you're going to be cast in the series?
It was just crazy for me to think about. I was so excited, and I always knew that Star Wars was such a big thing, but just never ever wrapped my head around being part of a Star Wars series. And I thought that was just so cool. I was joining the galaxy, and I thought that was really cool. I was going to be able to be a Jedi and get my own lightsaber.
An action figure.
Yeah.
Emma, what about you?
This is such an incredible experience. I mean, I'm so beyond honored to be part of the Star Wars galaxy. And also, a fun story is that during my first recording session, they said, "Emma, welcome to the galaxy." And that's just going to be a core memory forever, to have been welcomed to the galaxy by Lucasfilm creatives. That's just insane. I couldn't ask for anything better ever. And what's also funny about this show and how I got into it was I didn't know that it was for Star Wars until after I booked it. I knew it was for Lucasfilm, but there was nothing in the audition or the callback sides that had anything to do with the galaxy. So I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just a new Lucasfilm show that was going to be for kids. But then only after the callback, when they sent me the script for the recording session, it started talking about Jedis and lightsabers. And I was like, wait, this is Star Wars. So it was, first I found out that I was going to be working for Lucasfilm, and then I got the double shock of that it was Star Wars. So this has just been such a cool experience, and I'm forever humbled and grateful.
I love that. You're both giving me goosebumps just thinking about the electricity it must have felt to find that out. So while we're talking about Young Jedi Adventures, and you both talked really well about learning what it's like to be a Jedi and also how we relate to that as human beings in the real world. So what are some of the most important lessons that children can learn from watching Young Jedi Adventures?
Like I said earlier, I feel like teamwork, and that you should never really do things on your own, that teamwork is what makes a great team, and that's what's probably going to get you furthest in life, and asking for help. And yeah, I feel like it's just teamwork, and that's what makes everybody so special. And it's always great to work with your friends and never do something by yourself.
Because we can learn so much from each other, from our friends, from our parents, even from people we don't always agree with. We can still learn from them.
Yeah.
Definitely. Emma, what about you?
I think that there are lots of important aspects and lessons that viewers will take away. And I think it's so cool how Yoda returns into our series, and he helps push those messages along. Like, he teaches, specifically Nash, in one of the episodes, he teaches her about patience and just all the lessons in general that he teaches, like empathy and the importance of friendship. And like Juliet says, how it's okay to ask for help, and it's so important to also offer your help. And you just learn how to be a good friend and good team member through watching the show. And I think that there's so much beauty in that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much for coming on Coffee with Kenobi and sharing your stories. Your passion and your excitement for this project is just wonderful. And I'm just so happy to have you both in the Star Wars universe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll start with you, Jamaal. How would you describe your character to someone who has never seen the show?
To someone who's never seen Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures, I would describe my character, Kai Brightstar, as a kind, fun, optimistic.
He's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically everything you would think of a Jedi to be and more.
I love it. Trey, what about you?
Someone who's never seen the show, Taborr, I would tell him he's a complex character. He's definitely multi-layered, but he's definitely all about the life of a pirate. And you'll see that sort of as the show goes on. And I would also call him interesting, but really cool at the same time. So yeah, complex, interesting, really cool.
I love it. That's great. Jamaal, let's go back to you. What are the most important aspects of Young Jedi Adventures for you that you hope audiences will enjoy and appreciate?
I mean, the show's aimed for younger viewers, and well, you can watch it at any age, but I hope it gets them, it like eases them into Star Wars better, and like, because our show, it introduces things that you've probably seen in Star Wars already, but in a way that younger viewers can understand more. And it's just like, if you've never seen Star Wars, I definitely recommend watching it if you would like to slowly ease into it.
That's a great description.
You like Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually how I was describing it to some of my friends. That's awesome. Trey, what about you? What are some more important aspects that you hope audiences will enjoy and appreciate?
I mean, definitely from all audiences, younger specifically though, it's introducing them to characters and creatures like Yoda. Like if they went back and watched the movies in order, it kind of just makes Yoda there. You know, this kind of introduces him so they know who he is. But I mean, for older audiences who have grown up with these Star Wars, it's a nice refresher, I feel like, to go and watch the show, know what's going on, and get a whole new era that Star Wars fans have never seen before.
And when you, like you said, when you put Yoda, it just gives instant clout. Boom. Yeah. Right there.
It's right there.
So for the both of you, what was it like to first learn you were going to be cast in the series?
I was really excited almost when I auditioned. They said, all right, welcome to Star Wars. I'm like, can you repeat that? It was a really exciting and fun moment. I was like, I'm part of Star Wars now. It was a really amazing experience of learning that you were part of Star Wars.
Definitely. Probably indescribable, honestly.
Yeah.
Trey?
Well, my dad's been a fan since he was a kid. He saw 4, 5, and 6 in theaters and introduced me with Phantom Menace and throughout the movie. So we're just huge Star Wars fans. But when I heard I was going to be in Star Wars, my jaw just dropped. And I mean, to just expand on what Jamaal was saying, you're part of Star Wars now. Like, just saying that one phrase is really mind-blowing. And at least for me, because I get to play the main antagonist, I'm like, I get to join the ranks of, like, you know, these legendary people, like Darth Vader and Kylo Ren and Darth Maul and all these great Star Wars antagonists. And I get to say I'm a part of that. So it was definitely like a complete shock. And I'm still exhilarated to this point in time. So yeah.
Yeah, even hearing it out loud, right, and seeing both of your faces when you're talking about it is just, it's so cool. It's so cool for me as a big Star Wars fan too. So what, for both of you, what makes a good Star Wars story? Like, you're sitting down with your family, your friends. What makes a good Star Wars story for the both of you?
Something I would say makes a good Star Wars story, in my opinion, would be something with a good story and something that can like draw you in to want to watch more, and good action scenes, especially for Star Wars.
Yes.
And character development, which in my opinion, I think we see somewhat of a lot of in Star Wars Jedi Adventures.
I agree. And you're talking to a high school English teacher, and that's something that's important to me for sure. Trey?
Definitely. I mean, just what Jamaal just said, like, character arcs is what makes a great Star Wars story. Of course, there's, you know, you got to have great exposition so you know what you're doing, rising action, climax, falling action. But it's the character arcs. And one thing for me is redemption. A lot of characters, at least in Star Wars, have great redemption and just are very complex, very great characters in general. And for me, knowing the characters and making you like the characters and making you sort of have a bond with them, even though, of course, they're fiction, really makes the Star Wars story great.
Agreed. And you're speaking to my soul and talk about rising action, falling action. Well done. Well done, sir. Love that. All right, so last one, and Trey, we'll start with you this time to give you the first crack at this. What are some of the more important lessons that children can learn from watching Young Jedi Adventures?
Well, I mean, there's so many to name, but if I had to narrow it down a few, of course, there's, teamwork, but two that I really am drawn to, at least in the show, is friendship, is how important, at least because, I'm in high school. So the importance of friendship and a relationship with somebody else is really important to me. But my favorite is perseverance, trial and error, success. First, you don't succeed, keep trying. Perseverance to what your goal in life is. And I think that's very important for younger audiences to understand when they grow up, is to just never give up at what they want to chase, their dreams.
Absolutely. Jamaal?
I would say favorite lesson, like Trey said, there's a lot of good lessons in there. But I would say just never give up in general, friendship, teamwork, working together to truly understand somebody when something's happening. And along the show, that happens, you get to truly understand characters' motives, and that some don't really want something what they seem like they want, learning about each other, I guess, and not being so self-centered.
Oh, so you've been paying attention to Master Yoda. Well done. Well, thank you both so much for sharing some time with me on Coffee with Kenobi. Very much looking forward to the future and Young Jedi Adventures and the two of you. Thanks so much.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is... yes.
That's going to do it for this May the 4th episode of Coffee with Kenobi. I want to thank the cast and crew of Young Jedi Adventures for joining me. Be sure to check out this show and enjoy it on Disney Plus. I'm sure you will love it, as well as Star Wars Visions Season 2, another excellent episode which we will dive into much more deeply next Monday night on CWK Live. We're going to watch the first 3 episodes and then get our top 5 ready to discuss those first 3 parts of Season 2. You're going to love it, and I certainly love talking about Star Wars all throughout the week, both on Coffee with Kenobi's podcast, on the live show Monday nights, both on Facebook and our YouTube channel, as well as on social media group, the CWK Cafe. Have a wonderful rest of your May the 4th, and remember, everybody, this is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.